So it looks like maybe we are okay. No, we've got the classic 30-second stream start delay that we'll be counting down to. I suppose last minute predictions. What do we think ahead of this one?
I think I'm pulling for the underdog on the leaderboard. I really would like to see Leon win because he has won his games very convincingly, and also I think he's also warmed my heart a little bit because he asked questions in about the rule set, about position and whatnot, and he was a good sport about it. He said, "Well, rules are rules, whatever." So I'd like to see him win. I mean, I think Fi may be stronger, but I really hope it. I'm rooting for Leon, I reckon.
The Fi's spawned in the top left. It looks like he's gone allies. We've got allies of Angleon, of Leon in the bottom as well. Leon, it looks like, is maybe in watching the stream is picking up some strategies from Luva. Looks like he's going to be going base creep and a little bit more aggressive of an opening. Looks like also Fi's doing something quite similar. Maybe he'll do a double barracks creep to get close, like what Luva was doing earlier as well. But yeah, generally quite... Oh, here we go. So now we're starting to get the tank aggression and a lot of early infantry from Fi.
I've just seen a net put in my chat said he reckons Fi's going to win, but he's hoping for many games.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? It'd be good to see a big variety and some different maps.
Yeah, just what I say, yeah. I want a naval map. Naval map!
Yeah, I would love to see some more naval strategies, right? In Tib Dawn, you've got aerial strategies. Here you've got some navy. Navy's a little bit more... you're not going to use navy on this map, right? So it's a little bit more situational. Here's a big concave happening from Fi with his rifle infantry. You know, great kills that he's picked up on Leon's units and has put down a pillbox just to help support and reinforce that area as well.
Leon's just got a full scout of Fi's base. He's got a couple rifles right next to his conyard. They've just been killed, but he's just got a good look. Oh,
that's complete. So
I think Leon must have thrown in the towel because he didn't have much left at the front. I don't know.
Actually, if I look at it, Leon's ore harvester went down, and he's got 2,400 credits. Probably realised that actually it's tough to come back from that.
Oh, I didn't even see the ore miner went down. I was looking in the middle of the base, seeing that he scouted.
And I've got a super slow scroll up to 2 units killed.
Yeah, exactly. I did see that.
So yeah, do you know what? Really interesting. That's game 1, right? Game 1 towards Fi. It's good to see that we're getting some really aggressive openers coming in here from people. And what I think is really fun about these versus some of the other games we saw is they are so quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you think back to other Command & Conquer games, the games can last a long time. You think 0 are GLA versus GLA games, and they do kind of drag on. I think the thing that makes these games start quite quickly is the fact that people start with units, so you can get a scout quite, very quickly.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that makes me think a small number of starting units are all right, because it forces some early aggression and it forces you to think about it a bit more. So I'm interested because Leon's map choice here, and I don't know whether you've seen, there's a bunch of maps been pinging around. Now looks like they've maybe settled on Snow Garden. I'm presuming with the amount of time we've been on here, there'll be some discussion around starting locations happening. Oh, no, maybe we've gone to Middle Mayhem instead, which is a map we've not seen very much of at all tournament.
He's messing with you now.
Oh, literally is. That's exactly what'll be happening, right?
If I was in Leon's position, I'd be very confident with Snow Garden, because in the last 2 games, he's gone 4-0 on it. So
I think this is it. Snow Garden has been a map that we have seen so much, but I just think that both players have shown great skill on Snow Garden. So it'd be interesting to see what comes out here. And it looks like Snow Garden is the choice. Who's going to be starting where is the key question, of course, as we load in.
I suppose it does make it a bit fairer that both players have to. I think next time the tournament will be done differently, obviously, and rules will be kind of tweaked and map pools will hopefully be a lot more fairer. But I'm glad we brought in the rule, and I hope everyone was aware of it, that if you don't agree on positions, then you can, not veto it, but you can call in a referee, and then the referee can make a decision for you. I do like that rule.
Fi starting in what was traditionally the harder position at the top here as the allies, and then we've got Leon in the bottom here. Yet again, as allies, we've not seen very much Soviets here, actually. And we saw some Soviet play from Netput, which I really enjoyed in the first round, in the first couple of rounds, but everyone seems to be going allies since then.
Yeah, I can't actually think of any. Yeah, I cannot think of any Soviet games I've actually seen. If I saw any, it must have been very early on. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
So Leon's had some really positive early aggression here. He's coming out so much stronger in the battle of the two tanks. We've got rifle infantry from both sides that just pass each other and say hi as they go. That are moving around the far outskirts of the map. And so Fi's going into his traditional infantry start, 5 units from the barracks and then straight into ore refinery. Here's an interesting move from Leon. I have not seen this before. Base creep up to the north field, keeping that what is traditionally a safer south field for later, presumably.
Yeah, I've seen this map several times, and I don't know if it was specifically Leon, but I have seen people do that. But I suppose, like you say, he knows. I mean, one of the bridges already destroyed to the left, and
Leon's trying to take the bridge down in the middle. I don't know if you see that.
Oh, he's trying to. I assume. Yeah, he is. He'll get there eventually, and I suppose because he's got the unit advantage, you could see that Fi is using the map to his advantage, and he's moving his tank as close to the side as possible, so he's at least going to get some hits on. But Leon's now got his tanks in quite a comfortable position to just fire on that bridge.
Totally, and War Factory times very similar with both players. Fi and Leon just brought one down. Fi just got rid of his barracks, doesn't want to be going towards any more infantry, and the infantry production stopped for Leon as well. Barracks gone, both guys transitioning. Looks like Leon to light tanks. Nothing from Fi yet. Fi may very well be going for another ore harvester first. We've seen that a lot from him at the minute. The bridge does go down.
Just about to pop on mine as well. There it goes. I have seen as well that Leon's got rifles hammering on the bridge to the south. I wasn't aware rifles can destroy it. I thought it had to be like tanks, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that bridge in the south does start a lot more destroyed than before, but you see that one route into the north right now. I don't know, I presume you can't repair bridges?
No, I don't. I think that was brought in for Red Alert 2.
Okay. So you've got this left-hand like part of the map is the only way across. Fi's got that really well defended right now with a bunch of rifle infantry. Light tanks are going to squash those super quick though, and they are. Light tanks chasing away the medium tanks. If you're going to go light tanks, you just need to keep them moving and make sure that gives them the best evasive chance of making the medium tanks shots miss. But you've got 4 medium tanks would play 5 light tanks, 1 medium tank from Leon. I quite like the position of Fi at the minute. He's got the defender's advantage. He's got 6 medium tanks now. He could crush a lot of that infantry and take out those light tanks, as he is doing really quickly, as long as he focuses them.
Yeah, exactly. I do like the fact that he's done this strategy that we've seen most of, like quite a lot, where it's double war factory before a second refinery. They've both done that build all this time round.
One thing to note is both of them have sold construction yards, both of them going dual war factory, 1 refinery play.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. It's quite funny because really in this map, this advantageous position that Leon is in at the moment, I don't feel like it really makes much of a difference because everyone keeps going all in strats, so you can't expand to those ore fields anyway, and the games tend to be over before you need them.
Totally. I think that's what's a little bit strange here, really. It makes it... You end up with having some really long-distance harvesting needed at some point. I know, right, we can't... The rules at the minute are non-redeployable MCVs. You deploy it once, your starting location here, and then that's it. Maybe it would change the strategy a little bit in a future tournament with deployable MCVs enabled.
Yeah.
But we're seeing even a war factory sold off now. So Fi just going with 1 war factory, 1 ore refinery, 2 ore harvesters. So he's got an all right economy, but that's going to be a bit of a tougher economy as soon as that starting field is diminished. I mean, he's going to have to go to the far top right field, which is a long way away.
Yeah, in this position, all Leon has to do. I've actually seen Netput say in the chat that, you know, Leon shouldn't really have attacked. Should have just camped at this narrow area, because at some point Fi's got to come out of it. Like,
yeah, that's exactly right. And I just think if I was in Leon's position, light tanks are not where I'd be going now. I'd be having almost as heavy of an armor choice as I can do, and just camping that option, because what's happened now is Fi's broken out of his base, right? Broken out of where you have him, and Fi now has opened up that middle field to harvest quite easily and relatively safely, and that field's a lot closer than the field in the top right.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be much more efficient than that top right field. And yeah, I definitely think Leon may have gone a bit too heavy on the light tanks, considering, like you said, he was just camping at that entrance, so all Fi had to do was just send in his medium tanks and just shove him out of the way.
Exactly. I think that's the risk, because your bonus of light tanks is more when they're moving. In a case where you're trying to defend a camping spot like that, you're not moving. You lose all the bonuses that you would get from having light tanks. So here's some good engagement going on. Fi and Angleon, they just both need to make sure they're focus firing the weaker tanks, and I think they are doing that relatively efficiently at the minute. Fi could do this a little bit better. There's 5 weaker tanks that are all on like red slivers of health that he could have taken out and maybe could have saved an extra tank, but in come more medium tank reinforcements. Come on, Fi, you need to keep this focus firing on. Leon's doing a relatively decent job of focus firing down tanks here, and Fi is just still going to win with superior numbers though, which is scary considering he's right at Leon's front doorstep.
Yeah, definitely. I think the focus firing has been not bad at all, really, but I think it's also important that they want to keep their units moving, so they've got to keep making use of that Q move to keep them attacking. Yeah, that's the difficult tie-up without an attack move command, and I suppose you need to move units as well. With medium and the heavier armor, the keeping moving becomes less important than it does with light tanks, and I think that's one of the downsides to using light tanks, is that it's a lot harder to focus fire. And I think that's it. Leon throws in the towel. Fi takes the second game. Yeah, so that's 2-0. Very convincing by Fi.
Terminated.
It is. This has been a real, like, you can see why Fi is ranked number 8 at the minute, I think, from these games. I don't know where Leon is, whether Leon's joining the ladder and what's happening, but even if you just look, Leon had 2 ore refineries for that game. Fi with 1 ore refinery, but with 2 ore trucks, he just got ahead because he had that second ore truck much sooner than the second refinery of Leon was out. But other than that, quite closely matched, right? The definitive point was Fi breaking out of his base on that left-hand side.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Leon kind of changed his strategy midway through as he was spamming out the light tank. So then he found himself in a very more like an aggressive ground war rather than guerrilla tactics and hit and run. And he ended up like, oh, I'm going to hold here. So Fi just sent his medium tanks and said, well, you're not going to hold here, and just move them out the way.
That's exactly what it needs. It looks like, so Leon's yet again map choice looks like it's going to be the Cauldron, a map that we saw once so far this stream on our side. So we've had, we saw the Cauldron in the last game that Fi played. He was really, yet again, really definitive on this, and this was the final map that he ended up taking him through to the finals. So it'd be interesting to see. I don't know whether Leon's played on this in what you've seen.
I don't think I've seen this map just yet. I might be incorrect, but from memory, I think I've only really seen 3 maps, which is the starting one, the one we just came from, and another one. I think I've only actually seen 3, maybe 4, but I don't remember or recall being on the Cauldron yet. So it'd be interesting for me to actually see a map for the first time, to see a different map for the first time today.
Exactly. I think a lot of this case, it's good that finally I've been able to get replays and observer mode working in the remasters for me, but until this time, there's not, people seem to play the same kind of maps all the time, and we see it in all of them. And I think tournaments can be some of the times where you can change that field of play and get some games on interesting maps you wouldn't always see. And I think you're going to see that from custom maps and a whole bunch of stuff in future tournaments, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to say, I've said on my stream a couple times today, but I'll say it again. If there's any map makers out there and you want to earn some brownie points, most definitely come over to GameReplays.org and come make some maps for us so we can feature them in our future tournaments.
Totally.
I mean, there's definitely a very strong hunger for some balanced maps. Like, okay, you can put in rules and like different mechanics to make the games more fair, but it's much more straightforward if the maps are just balanced at the start.
This is exactly the thing, right? It would be, we wouldn't at all have to worry about the not agreeing on starting locations or anything like that, if only we had maps that were nicely balanced. And this is what I think is an interesting thing, and this is where in the remasters they've really struggled. Do you go full on nostalgia and continue developing features into the game that people don't want and don't like and we fix in the future, or do you make the game better but lose some of the nostalgic value? And I kind of wish they would have made it a bit more playable and added things like attack move and a few things like that that would have made it a bit more playable. But it looks like we're about to start. We're about to kick off then on the Cauldron. And we've got a north-south game with Fi in the north here, just deploying his MCV yet again as the allies. In the south, Angleon, Leon as the allies again, playing in gold.
Yeah, I can tell you now the delay is about 11-12 seconds. But it's
wow,
nice.
That is incredible.
It's quite a lot. Although I suppose I do like this map now that I've seen it for the first time today, because it does look like one of the more balanced maps from what I can tell.
Yeah, so you do have ore fields slightly asymmetrically put around that central part, but you do have a little bit more balance than the previous one, where there are obvious bridges and things in places that aren't on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, you can see what they've done. They've tried to make the map look quite pretty and whatnot, and make it look kind of interesting. But then it's just not really too balanced. But they both decide, well, they've got their starting positions and they both started the game, so they must agree that they're okay with this.
Agreed. And it's interesting seeing Leon kind of doing a little bit of early scouting around with his tanks. Nobody really being very pushy. Fi's just left his starting units in his base. He's gone for barracks. Both players went for barracks and have gone for a small handful of rifle men, but they've not really pushed their rifle infantry a cluster in an aggressive way. They've kind of spread them out to get some wide scouting. And I think it's probably just indicative of both players probably being quite new to this map and not really knowing what to expect. So playing it a bit safe.
I think I've seen what Fi's plan was with his right. I think he spread his rifles to all of the choke points towards his side of the map, so that I just saw a scout from Leon get taken out. So I don't think he wants Leon to see anything that he's doing, so I'm intrigued to see what plans he's got.
Yeah, could it be fast naval? No,
probably
not going to help.
It won't help him win, but I would absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, totally agree with you, right? And I think that's why he's maybe kept his tanks close by, so any early rifle squad riflemen that just come around, just squash them straight down.
Yeah.
And he's moving them out actually over to the left, where he has had a rifle unit from the enemy come along. But if you just look at this load time, so what, we're going into 2 ore refineries, so he's playing a heavy eco game to start with, and it's a longer map, so you can do that. Both players going more heavily eco. Dual war factory from Leon, so he's going to get some aggression in. I'm excited to see what Fi goes for here. Yeah,
definitely. It's quite interesting. They both sold their barracks now, so clearly they're not interested in infantry at all anymore. Second war factory for Leon. And I can't see a second war factory or refinery for Fi just yet. He's got the second ore miner.
Fi's really floating credits at the minute. He's at almost 5,000 credits, 4,500. What's he going to spend it on? Maybe is he going for tech? Is he what's planning to do? I agree with both players' sentiment to get rid of their barracks here. With a map that's this big, infantry's so slow, it looks like a portable game is going to be played, and you need faster, lighter tanks for that. And light medium tanks are the name of the game for both players at the minute. both actually choosing to only really make medium tanks, and they've got their initial light tank as well. Here's the second war factory from Fi just coming up.
Oh, good. It took a long time for him to place that. It makes me wonder, did it just take that long to queue? Because Leon had his second war factory up a lot sooner.
Yeah, and this is what's interesting, mate. And if I look at the credits, right, Leon's really doing a good job of spending his credits as they come in. Fi's really been floating credits for a while, and it makes me wonder what's he going to use them for. If he's not planning to use them for something that needs those credits in the bank, then get them into some units that will help you, some more medium tanks to help turn the tide of some of these battles.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to be able to switch to like the player perspectives like you can in the other CNC games, so you can see what they're queuing up. Because I'd be very interested to see what Fi plops down next. Like you say, Leon's spending his money. I mean, it must be burning a hole in his pocket because he's spending it as soon as he gets it.
Leon's even gone for an ore silo. Don't really know what benefit he's getting from that. If that was CNC free or Kane's Wrath, everyone would be laughing at you unless you were using it to wall block something. It's an interesting choice. I presume that's not needed for any tech, but with 4 ore harvesters now, so they're both going for a longer term eco game massively. Oh, Fi's sold his MCV.
Oh, he hasn't done it for me yet. I'm waiting for it. I'm ready.
So he sold his MCV on 1 ore refinery, 2 war factories. If Leon's going this heavy eco and survives this current little fight push that's happening, Leon's going to be in a great position to take this game. But it's that Fi's pushing in with a whole bunch of medium tanks. They yet again are moving versus Leon's slightly inferior numbers of medium tanks, but Leon's got the defender's advantage. Maybe a turret from Leon would help here, but his tanks are really being focused down quite nicely by Fi. Fi's got a couple of tanks that have extended a little bit too much though, and he's lost a couple more. Numbers are getting closer to even, but reinforcements coming from both sides right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I was kind of trying to pick which position I'd rather be in, do I be in the person who sold his Conyard and got loads of tanks, or do I go for the side that's got the ore silo? I mean, I feel like you said, that ore silo seemed like a rather, curious build. Yeah.
This is it, and I don't know exactly why. The thing that we've got now is that Fi, as we said before with MCV cells, you need to make it work for you in the next 30 seconds to a minute, or your chances of winning diminish, and Fi made it work for him in the next 30 seconds or a minute. All of that money, he went down to 0 credit, 16 at the end, put it all into medium tanks, and it worked for him, and that's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's have a quick look at the resources and stuff then, shall we, and see what happened.
Battle control terminated.
So Leon actually, as we expected, in the lead, and Fi realising that, MCV cell to just mass crazy units. If that game went any longer, Leon would have been in a great position to win.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, I feel like Leon was definitely edging for more of a economy game. I think because the rush didn't come in as quickly as he was expecting it, he went more eco. But at the end of it, all of a sudden he's got a massive medium tanks on his doorstep. I think Micro definitely made Fi. I think his targeting of Leon's units definitely was quite important. But I think overall, I think he just had more units to use.
Thing to note here, though, is that so we are at 4 games now to Fi. I believe, is it 4 games to Fi?
Is it 4 or 3? I think that was the third one, wasn't it?
Oh, that might be 3. Yeah, ignore me. That's so 3 games to Fi, best of 7.
So one more.
So, this is one more, and he's got it, right?
If there's any time for Leon to turn up and really show us what he's made of, then now's definitely the clutch time for him to really do it.
Do you know what I think we need to see from Leon? We need to see from Leon a really... we need to see the opposite of what he's been doing almost, right? We need to see him almost doing what Fi's doing and trying to catch Fi out with a early aggression, tanks at your doorstep whilst Fi's not expecting it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what Fi's been very good at for Leon. Leon went eco, Fi countered it with let's sell everything and just build. And if that fails, then it's tough for me. But yeah, that's what I think we need to see here. And so we're potentially 1 game away from seeing the resolution of this tournament. And $50 plays $25.
Yeah, definitely.
It looks like it might be...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go. So it looks like it might be Gold Rush. A lot of time being spent here. Both players picking allies at the minute, but a lot of time being spent. It'd be interesting to see what the reason is, what people are chatting about and figuring out.
Yeah, definitely. I did see as well. There's a couple other people have found their way into the room, so I assume they're going to be
They'd
booted.
be like, goodbye.
Yeah. I've just had Looney point out with this Gold Rush map that this is a naval map. Yeah!
Ooh.
We've got lots of water around the edge.
That is true. It would be nice to see some water floating around on the insides and make it look almost like some of the maps you get from Age of Empires 2, where naval aggression is really powerful. Yeah, they need to close some of the slots by the looks of it, because they keep getting random people trying to join and play with them, and they're like, "No, guys, this is the last game of a $50 tournament. I need to get this. I need to win this."
It would definitely make it a very interesting final if they suddenly go, right, okay, now it's a 4-way.
It's a big FFA. See what happens.
Oh, dear.
So we're just waiting for Leon. I think he's just gone to grab a drink or something. Maybe a shot to down his sorrows before the last game. A bit of Dutch courage.
Maybe a bit of liquid courage.
Yeah, to see what happens before he blitzes out. It'd be interesting to see. Interesting tournament so far, though. And I kind of hope we see Leon take this back here, because it would be great to see some real challenge from him.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed watching his games, because I think I've watched most of his today, and it's not like it was close games per se. In these like all-in rush, it's not all-in rush, but these all-ins, they tend to look quite close. But then you, like the last game we just saw, you can, like, as soon as the fight kind of starts, you can kind of see who's got the advantage and who's going to come out on top, aside from some massive blunders. And the games that I saw Leon playing today, I've been really impressed, and I'm not just impressed, but I've really enjoyed watching them, because you can see little cheeky things that he does, and you can see him doing using micro very efficiently. So I'm hoping to, like, even if he doesn't win, I'm still pulling for Leon to give Fire a run for his money, and at least I want him to get at least a token game. I want him to scratch one up so he can say, look, I may have lost, but I got a game. Like, I'll take it.
I totally agree.
I put rank.
Absolutely, totally agree with this. And if we look through the where we've come from, and we just have a quick look at the tournament itself, and I'm just blitzing through the announcement. We've had a fair number of players here for what has been a good cash initial tournament. Just as a roundup before what could be the last game, and thank you once again to all of our fabulous donators that have donated this, to our referees that have helped organize and put this tournament together, the rest of the streamers, myself, yourself, that can show it to everybody. But I think there's been a fab format, and I think generally it'd be really cool for people to share their feedback, thoughts on game replays, and make future tournaments better, more exciting, and develop them in whatever way we think would be better, right? And as we were saying before, custom map makers, please do shout, because it would be fab to see some more balanced maps. It'd be great to see some more naval balanced maps, right? And things like that would be really cool.
Definitely. What we want is, we just want a naval tournament. We just want maps which they're entirely just islands.
It's like that one Red Alert 3 4-player map, which is slightly, it's non-symmetric, but it's just like all water, and it turns into like naval and air play. It would be really cool seeing a tournament just like a bunch of best of ones just on that.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? Cheese strategies for the win. Just throw it all in. See what happens.
Yeah. It's like you said, like map makers. We're not just saying this to make you feel better. Definitely come and poke your head into gamereplays.org and make yourself known. And if you've already, and in fact, if people have already made maps, then, come and post in. I don't know if there's a specific thread for the maps, but I think people have just been making threads when they have made one. Throw it up on Steam and link us to it so we can find it, and people can have a look at it, because we definitely, there's definitely an interest in custom maps, like we said. So
massively. So it looks like we're getting close to being ready, right? Leon's going for his favourite gold colour again, Fi back in his favourite blue, water map of Gold Rush, and both going for the British allies. So I think it's just something to get versed up on myself and figure out as the game's starting. figure out the different bonuses that you get for different countries. But there must be a reason that they've both changed to British from the other two countries they were playing before.
Yeah, I need to brush up. Like you say, I need to memorize what all the different advantages are. I know Russia, their units, I think they are 10% cheaper. I know someone, I think British, I think their units have 10% extra range. I may be incorrect, but Looney's just
we're
said,
in game.
Looney's just said, by the way, that the Brits get 10% more armor.
Oh, so Leon starting in the top left corner and Phi in blue in the bottom right corner. This is a really interesting map, right? Because in the center, it's going to be a huge fight for all of this high density resource, this much more valuable resources. Even if people go naval, your naval units aren't going to be able to reach that.
Yeah, exactly. I think investing naval in this is kind of, it's not really viable. Like, okay, it's nice to have the water there, and it's like, oh, water, I can actually see the sea now. But I think it's kind of not worth the resources.
Leon's going into a lot more riflemen and rifle squads than Phi is going for. Maybe Phi's going for a slightly earlier war factory play like he has been doing. And I agree with you. I think what would make this a lot more competitive water-wise is if the waterway is extended in and around that centre with crossing points. I think you'd start to see a lot more naval battles and ships becoming a lot more important.
Yeah, maybe like, I don't know, someone with more experience in map making could change it slightly, but say make the water go a bit further in. But in order to keep the ground unit maneuverability, maybe put some indestructible bridges in.
Yeah, you need something like Pool Party from Red Alert 3, if you know that has the water gets very close to things and most buildings will be attackable from the water. Stuff with maps like that make it really challenging. So early aggression in Leon's base, some good scouting from Phi from his light and medium tanks. He's seen that there's nothing really untoward happening in there, although Leon has kind of done what Phi did in the last game, right? And he's got loads of riflemen just at every single choke point to his base, not really doing anything too aggressive with them.
No, exactly. You can see on the map just the sheer number of infantry units. I think Leon's got a rifle on the far right that's going to get a pretty good scout off on Phi's base, as long as he doesn't get spotted.
Yeah, agreed. Phi's gone into War Factory already. I'm surprised that there's not a little bit more ore harvester micro to pick up the higher value resources earlier on in your home field. Might not be worth it, I don't know. Some of the more pro players will be able to explain it more so than I can. But yeah, we've got a full scout off from Leon. Phi's finally going after that scout now. But it's looking quite standard, right? We're on two ore harvesters for Phi, only one for Leon. So kind of the reverse of last game, where Leon, if he's not careful, is going to get himself behind in economy.
Yeah, I think Leon may have got lots of kind of infantry out, but that's obviously dug into his economy enough that, although he's floating 5k.
No, both of them are floating quite a lot. Phi's even floating 3k, and what are you gonna do with that is the thing. It's not like Red Alert 3 where you need the full amount for a building right at the start because it builds a nano core like the Empire.
Yeah.
They get slowly dragged, so you should be investing that money in his tanks. And Phi's gone dual war factory and is starting to invest them both, but he's bringing in enough economy to keep them both moving at the minute.
Yeah, Leon's gone dual war factory as well, and Leon he's trying to confuse us. He's built another ore silo. I think it must be the build radius. I assume you can continue crawling that way.
It must be, actually, and maybe that's something that we didn't know. It must be the cheapest way, and I suppose if you don't need a power plant, why not?
Yeah.
Why not go for that? That's probably the reason to go for regular power plants rather than advanced power plants, is that you can crawl a bit more if you need to. And crawling to the middle and putting a second ore refinery there is going to make you in a lot more advantageous position than if you don't, and you're doing a distance mining operation.
Phi's just gone all in.
Has he? Oh, so there's been an MCV sell from Phi, and this could be the defining factor, right? We've got the ore refinery up, so we're going to start seeing harvesters come in. Phi needs to get some squishes on this infantry just to help thin the numbers down. He's got superior tank numbers, but he needs to make sure the rifles, because they're going to slowly chip away on tanks as they have been. He needs to try and focus down some of those tanks, and if he gets rid of those tanks, he's going to have a clear shot at that ore truck, and that's going to be close to GG.
I have seen as well, like we have seen in, I think, probably all these games, Leon has gone heavy light tanks for the speed, whereas Fi is just taking out that ore truck as well. But Fi's gone for the medium tanks, so in a straight-up fight, 6 light tanks versus 6 medium tanks, well, the medium tanks are going to win every time.
That's exactly what we're seeing here, and it's lucky that that Leon's still got 2 harvesters back in his main base, but he sold off that more aggressive ore refinery. He needs to transition to something to have an answer for these medium tanks, because at the minute he doesn't. He's still producing light tanks. I don't think that's the answer, and I don't think he's learned that that's not the answer. They're just doing so little damage against medium tanks. I think he just needs to try and mass up a few more medium tanks to try and hold the fort here, because those light tanks are going to go down, and then the ore trucks are going to go down as well.
He's just sold his construction yard, but I think that's a bit too little too late.
I totally agree. I think that is too little too late. I think he should have sold the construction yard earlier on before selling the forward ore refinery and gone straight into medium tanks, and he might have been able to hold here, because other than these 4 tanks that Fi's got in Leon's base, Fi's not really got anything that's worthwhile, and he's not at all been into any of the higher value ore throughout the entire game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we might be eating our words, because those medium tanks, again, whittled down slowly, and because it's right on his doorstep, and Leon keeps reinforcing them, there's 2 more medium tanks coming in for Fi, but the tanks are already there, basically dead, so he might be able to hold off.
I think it would be really surprising if he does, and it's RNG luck of keeping the tanks moving and missing, and it shows the importance of keeping those tanks moving through. As we see, they're slowly getting chased away now by the light tanks. I don't know whether chasing it is what you want to do, but Leon needs to figure out how is he going to transition. He's about to have to transition to long distance mining. His home field is almost gone, whereas Fi's got more of his home field left. So he needs to rely on that middle field really, or long distance over to the right, or the right is going to be better than the south. How is he going to protect that? Maybe light tanks are the answer to get that mobility, but he needs to make sure he's got a couple of medium tanks mixed in to put the hurt on.
I think he panicked because he thought that forward refinery he had was going to get destroyed, so he sold it before it did. I think he would have been better if he'd sold his con yard first and left that refinery there. There's a chance. Yeah. There's a chance it was going to die, but look, there's only 2 medium tanks left. He's holding his own. If he'd left that, I mean, hindsight 2020 is better, But if he'd left that refinery there, he could instantly start harvesting the middle. He's holding it. Oh, there's more medium tanks coming in though from Fi, so.
Yeah, and I think actually that would have been the play as long as he had the power for it. That would have been the play, and I think he did. He's got two power plants at the moment. What I would like to see more from Leon though is just microing those weaker tanks further back in his army, so he's not overextending with them. And then when he comes to squishing units or taking out weaker units, he's got more to fight for there. And he sold off the silo in the end. He's still on 2 war factories, and I don't think he can support it. I think it's better off going down to 1 war factory, get the money. You're on 5 credits, you're struggling. You see what Fi's sold off and done exactly what I've just suggested, right? Bare minimum, ore refinery, power plant, war factory. Leon needs to do the same.
Leon knows he's in a bad situation, so I think he's tried to go for the base trade, but there's 2 medium tanks in Fi's base.
The harvester in the middle's been killed from Leon as well. He's got no harvesters left. That's GG at that point.
He tried a Hail Mary. I think he was hoping that Fi's economy was really bad. There we go. I think he was hoping Fi's economy wasn't that strong, so he could just go wipe out what buildings he had left. But no.
Yeah.
He had medium tanks sitting in his base, ready and waiting.
I tell you what, though, a very good best of 7, although a very defining best of 7 for Fi. Some great, interesting, exciting games here, and well played to them both. Fi taking away the win in the tournament and the $50. Leon coming in second place with 25.